And now, you just crossed over into the Logan Zone. From ECU Pirate football to the whole college landscape to basically anything else that's on his mind, Coach Steve Logan's talking about it now.
You don't coach at East Carolina. You don't come to East Carolina. You don't play at East Carolina with a weak heart.
Tweet at Steve Logan Show with your takes or call 252-561-GAME for your spot in the Logan Zone. Brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles. Now, here's Steve Logan.
Welcome into the Logan Zone, Week 10 edition of the show here in the 2025-2026 season of the Logan Zone. Will be taking you all the way through the Super Bowl once again this year. I'm Philip Pilkington alongside the coach, Steve Logan. We're going to be joined by Jim Zoki around 5:20. Then after Zoki does his Pirates and Panthers talk, we will open up the phone lines. We have Demetrius here. He is helping out with the phones today. We do want to thank one of our title sponsors, Greenville Utilities. Even though Greenville Utilities has a reliability rate of more than 99.99%, sometimes outages happen. And just like in football, you need to have a plan for what to do just in case. Right now, grab your cell phone, open the contacts list, and add GUC's emergency hotline as a contact. Here's the number to use, 1-855-767-2482. That's 855-SOS-2GUC. Plan on that instead of fumbling and looking around when the lights go out. Now I'm going to bring in the host of the Logan Zone, Coach Steve Logan. How's it going, Coach?
Doing well. Been a while since the Pirates have played any football. I guess we're going on 16, 17 days by the time they actually kick one off. And, I know that you've got your inside baseball take on what's happening in Greenville, America, and with the Pirates. So why don't you kick it off and give everybody a little update on any broken ankles, turned ankles, whatever the case may be, healing up, how we're going to approach this football game coming up Saturday.
Yeah, Coach, glad you asked. We asked Coach Blake Harrell on Monday about a kind of an injury update. It sounds like they're not 100% sure about Xavier McIver. He has been out with that upper body injury since the beginning, since the NC State game. He played the NC State game. He's been out ever since. Also, it looks like Bryce Weaver is still banged up on the offensive line. Rasheed Reason, the starting cornerback, still out with that leg injury. They're hoping to get Rasheed back by maybe the last game or two of the regular season. If not, he should at least be back by the bowl game. So still some banged upness going on for this Pirate program. And, Coach, I think right now, as far as the mood in Greenville, America, first off, everybody's a little bit excited because of the outing last night from Trey Savage. I know this is a football-related show, but that's given everybody here an extra little bit of juice. Anytime a young man that pitched at your program goes out there and gets 12 strikeouts against the Los Angeles Dodgers in World Series is pretty cool. And as far as the football...
Philip, stop right there. This is one of the most amazing stories. And I'm a big baseball guy. My son is a head baseball coach down at a baseball factory type high school in South Raleigh, and he pitched at Campbell. And so this young man was literally pitching at East Carolina last spring. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir. In June of last year, he was still at East Carolina. He was in low A when the season began in
I watched
April.
The progression. Yeah, so he goes right out of East Carolina, and up the ladder he goes. I don't know that anything like that has ever transpired in Major League Baseball, and certainly not in modern history, has it?
There's some guys every year, that make their MLB debut a year after getting drafted, a little less. Paul Skeens was able to do it a little less after getting drafted, but to do it and then pitch in the World Series, obviously there's a lot of skill, but there's some luck. Not that I know of that a young man has ever done it that quickly, and not only started one, but two games now in the World Series. He started Game 1 as well as Game 5. Heck, he's only got 8 Major League starts. 3 of them are in the regular season, 5 of them in the postseason, 2 of which, again, coming in the World Series.
Let me comment on that. I know that I never know where this radio show is going to go, which is the wonderful thing about it. That's why I enjoy it. You mentioned it, that recruiting, this is the tip of the cap, and rightfully so, to Cliff Godwin. Cliff was a player at East Carolina when I was coaching at East Carolina. I've watched Cliff grow up, for lack of a better word, and go through the coaching profession and become what he has become. But recruiting at East Carolina, this is just a little talk to the East Carolina fan base that happens to be listening to this program right now. I've always maintained it's changed a little bit now, but the principles I'm going to espouse are still in place. When you're recruiting to East Carolina or App State or one of the not big boy schools, okay, there were two elements that were involved. Number one was, let me put it this way, there are two elements involved in recruiting. It was salesmanship to a degree, but the vital part of it was the evaluation process. And when you're evaluating players to come to a place like East Carolina, you have to project. Because if the kid was, if this particular pitcher, and I'm guessing, this particular pitcher was known, everybody thought he had some ability, and Cliff Godwin worked at it and signed the young man. But he certainly wasn't a drop-dead first-round draft pick. Those are easy to evaluate. Same thing in football. The five-star recruit, Bugs Bunny, Ray Charles, can identify that guy. I rarely did I spend any time recruiting that kind of a player when I was coaching at East Carolina. Now, when I was at the University of Colorado, those were the only players we recruited. We were a big boy school back in 1984-85. We were one of the big boys. When I put on my Colorado sweater and went recruiting in the city of Houston, I could walk in the front door, and I promise you everybody sat up and paid attention. Because the kids that I was recruiting, they were going to go to, everybody back then was allowed 5 visits. They were going to go to Texas, Oklahoma, Alabama, Georgia, and Colorado. Those would have been the 5 visits that I would have been battling. Therefore, salesmanship was at the top of the list. When you get to East Carolina, it's completely upside down from that. I didn't have much to sell, so to speak. We weren't in a big conference. All the other things that Georgia can sell a kid on back in the day. Now, I understand I'm leaving out the NIL in this conversation right now. But the principles I'm speaking about, the salesmanship, and certainly the evaluation process. What is this kid? What can he become? That's the big question. That's the big question. And then, on the other end of my journey, I ended up in the NFL, and now this evaluation thing took on a whole new set of ramifications. Because as we all know, and we'll talk to Jim Zoki, later in the hour, talking about the Panthers. I sat in draft rooms at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the San Francisco 49ers. And on a lesser scale, in NFL Europe, which was run by the NFL, we were responsible for drafting the players to make up our rosters in NFL Europe off of the NFL rosters that were provided to us. And so once again, I had to evaluate, but the point I'm making there is, okay, well, yeah, these guys are all good players. Now which ones are the best of the best? So again, the evaluation process, and we've all seen the Cleveland Browns somehow magically draft after draft after draft just draft the wrong guy and screw it up over and over and over again. So the evaluation process, and I'm winding all the way back to a tip of the hat to Cliff Godwin for discovering this guy. And I'm sure he didn't, I'm sure other people knew about the player. He was probably relatively highly recruited. But to stay on him, sign him, and then develop him, and then have the kid go on and do that, it's just a real tip of the hat to Cliff and to the baseball program that's in place at East Carolina, because it's is a cut above, and I know people get restless every year because East Carolina, even with Coach LeClaire, just never has been able to break through that final layer, and end up in Omaha. But I would just tell everybody, you better wrap your arms around and appreciate what you got, because if you have a program, and this is going to also lead into something else I was going to talk about in this program, which is firing all of these football coaches that have winning records and have an established credibility, James Franklin being at the top of the list. You need to step back and kind of decide, when your coach hasn't won the big one and you get restless, or your fan base gets restless, and you throw that guy out and go hunting for the next guy that will win the big one. That's really a slippery slope to jump on. And it's proving almost catastrophic right now in the college football industry. But that really was a kind of a winding rant on my part that simply had to do with congratulations to Cliff Godwin and congratulations to the young man for the journey that he's had. And I watched him pitch last night. And I think, Philip, they said among the many records that were set last night, he was one of only 3 pitchers in the history of World Series baseball that struck out every man on the Los Angeles Dodgers roster, or their starting 9 last night. He struck out all 9 of them. And I believe Bob Gibson and one other pitcher were the only other 2 that have ever accomplished that feat. So simply magnificent. That's all I got to say about all that. So anyway, that's all your fault, Philip, for bringing up baseball. See,
well, I apologize. You asked what was going on in Greenville, Coach, and that's kind of what's going on in Greenville. We hadn't had a football game in 2 weeks. What the hell else are we going to talk about?
Exactly, but that is a fantastic story, and it's a feel good, for East Carolina. And again, I'm a Cliff Godwin fan. I've known Cliff, like I say, since he was a player for Keith LeClaire, who was one of my dear closest friends that is no longer with us. Sad to say. But anyway, let me just talk about my end of the East Carolina Temple football game coming up. And then I know it's been talked to death over the last 2 weeks, but in my normal head coach way, I've gone into the numbers. And I would always do this no matter who the opponent was I was getting ready to play. I would look at our numbers. I would peel the onion back and try to look to, where's the edge? Where am I weak? Where are they strong? And vice versa. The numbers on this particular football game, it's almost like I could sit here, and I'm not a better. I never bet on games. Philip, you and I talked. I think right now East Carolina's sitting at a 4-point favorite or something like that. But I could almost sit here and say, this game's got the earmarks of going into overtime. It's that even. And again, just researching Temple, one of the things that jumped out at me about the Temple program right now, this coach that they hired, this guy, when you look at what he's done in his career, is magnificent. He's won championships at, I believe, I'm talking national championships at the Division II level, and then I believe at the FCS level before he got to Temple. And he's very quickly putting his stamp on the Temple program as we sit here. And that's all to his credit. But, right now, Temple is a 3-1 conference, American Athletics Conference football team, maybe 4-1. I don't know if I added the Tulsa victory in there, which was an overtime game, by the way. But they lost to Navy in a real, it's one of those you can't believe you lost at games. Other than that, this could be a 4-0 conference team that East Carolina's getting ready to entertain. But as we sit here, East Carolina's doing a great job on offense, scoring 30 points a game. Temple scoring 33. And these numbers now, at this point of the season, early in the season when you talk about numbers, the numbers are skewed because, like in East Carolina's case, well, you beat Campbell 60-0. Well, your scoring average, there's that word, goes way up. But you're getting into the part of the season now where your scoring average begins to become who you are, regardless of who you've played. Because the water is seeking its own level now. It's starting to level out. East Carolina's scoring 30 points a game. Pretty healthy. I'll take that every year. Okay? Scoring defense, East Carolina, exceptional at 17 points a game. All right? Turnover ratio, that's the big three. Scoring offense, scoring defense, turnover ratio. Turnover ratio, East Carolina has gained 10 turnovers this year and lost 5 for a grand total of plus 5. Those are good numbers. Good numbers. Temple, okay, let's just remind, East Carolina's scoring 30, Temple's scoring 33. Slight advantage there to Temple. Scoring defense, they're giving up 26 points a game. East Carolina's giving up 17. That's a 9-point swing in there, okay? But as I just mentioned, there's a 3-point plus swing for Temple on the offensive side of the football. And then here's the real, if I were coaching East Carolina, I would really, I would have a team meeting. Part of my team meeting, every time I had a team meeting, we talked about turnovers. But I would absolutely hammer this point home to the East Carolina football team if I was standing in front of them on a Friday night before the game or whatever you want to talk about. Turnovers. Temple. They have gained 11 turnovers in 8 games. That's almost, that's really good football. Here's the kicker. Temple has 1 giveaway for the season in 8 football games. Now let me tell you something. Whether it's luck, whether it's fundamental coaching, doesn't matter. The fact is, at -1 turnover, Temple is plus 10 in the turnover category. So the point I'm making about all that is this. If East Carolina goes out against Temple in this football game, and they have more than 1 turnover. What do I mean by that? I would always tell our football team, when it came to turnovers, I got so tired of hearing coaches say, take care of the football. We're not going to turn the ball over. I got so tired of that because it didn't carry any weight, and I believe it falls on deaf ears when you're talking to a football player. Take care of the football. I got it. We're going to take care of it. I'm trying to take care of the football. I would talk to my football team in this way. I know that there's going to be turnovers from time to time. I don't care how good of a running back you are. If you're running the football through the line of scrimmage and a safety comes from 8 yards away from you and puts his helmet directly on the football, there's going to be a fumble. I got that. And I would tell our players, I understand there are going to be turnovers this season. But here are the numbers that we have to work with to have a winning football team. And here's the way I would frame it to them. Let's say we were going to play 12 football games. In 12 football games, our turnovers, the number of turnovers that we gave up had to be less than 2 per game. Well, you say, well, Logan, you idiot, that's just 1 a game. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying at the end of a football season, if we play 12 football games, if we have 23 turnovers or less, that's good football. That's good football. So when I say to you, we have to have less than 2 turnovers per game, that's what I'm talking about. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to have a common sense approach to this and not be a football coach with a chew of tobacco in the side of my cheek, spitting tobacco, and screaming at the football players. There's a teachable moment in here where you can talk to your team on a little bit higher intellect plane than simply take care of the football, okay? You can talk to them in terms of, hey, we had a turnover. That's it. That's enough. Okay, we can manage 1. We can even manage 2 in a game. I've won football games giving the ball away 5 times. At the end of the year, in a 12-game season, my turnovers were less than 24, meaning 23, 22, 21 or less. That was manageable, and invariably, we would have a winning football team. So, I'm just telling the East Carolina football team, you go up there and turn the ball over, 3 times against this outfit, if they behave according to their numbers, you risk losing the football game. And this is a crossroads football game for East Carolina and Temple. Whoever wins this football game has a chance to move forward the rest of the season in the American Athletic Conference and really kind of make a mark for yourself. Whoever loses this game, you're going to really put yourself behind the 8 ball. Third down, East Carolina's converting 63, Temple 40%. Third down defense, East Carolina's good, 31%. So is Temple, 37%. The numbers are amazingly close. It's going to be a heck of a game. All right, we're going to have to take a little break here, and we will come back with Jim Zoki and get a double look at the East Carolina game we've just been talking about, and the Panthers got brought back down to earth by the Buffalo Bills. They're going to the Packers. We'll get a little talk on that. Well, stay tuned. We'll be right back. I want to take a minute here to tell you about Bill Clark Homes. The football stadium, the baseball stadium, the Pirate Club, whatever it is, Bill Clark Homes has always been there for ECU. The reason they can do all of this is because Bill Clark Homes continues to build quality homes and neighborhoods in both the Greenville area and in the Wilmington area. And whether it's Greenville or Wilmington, you can choose your school district with several homes under construction and available now in both markets. Eastern North Carolina's premier home builder, Bill Clark Homes, building family traditions.
It's Bo time. Fumble in the food on game day? Rookie move. But you know Bo can make your tailgate a winner, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Because the Carolina Legend has everything you're craving. We're talking crispy, juicy chicken loaded with real Southern flavor, fluffy scratch-made buttermilk biscuits, and all the fixins to feed your whole crew faster than you can say touchdown. Be the MVP this season and let Bojangles do the cooking. Order your tailgate today. It's Bo time.
Hey folks, this is Coach Steve Logan for Walton Academy and Children's World Learning Centers. I've known the Walton family for years. In fact, I coached Chad and Blake Walton in Pee Wee years ago. Walton Academy is a K-8 private school in Greenville on Arlington Boulevard. They also operate 4 Children's World Learning Centers across the city. The Waltons believe school should be a place where kids feel inspired, supported, and excited to learn. I promise you that if the Waltons put their name on something, it's done with heart, purpose, and excellence.
Have you had a colonoscopy? If you're between the ages of 45 and 75, you need to be screened regularly for colorectal cancer. Dr. Philip Goldstein and Dr. Maurice Marquardt at Carolina Digestive Diseases and Endoscopy Center want to keep you healthy. They provide treatment and quality care for all GI needs. Just call the office at 252-758-8181.
This is Dr. Maurice Marquardt, reminding you that colonoscopy can save your life. Visit our website at cddgastro.com and come see us at Carolina Digestive Diseases.
Hey folks, Coach Logan here. Did you know that one of the top-rated insurance agencies in the country has been operating right here in our backyard since 1952? Snipes Insurance was just awarded a 2025 Best Practices designation, one of only 16 in North Carolina to receive this honor. Director of Benefits and Pirate alum Lewis Gale lives right here in Greenville. They also have a dedicated commercial and agricultural department. Check them out at snipesinsurance.com or email Lewis at snipesinsurance.com.
Meet the Kawasaki Nav, our first ever personal transportation vehicle designed for cruising the good life. The Kawasaki Nav 4E puts the fun in functional, with a premium, sporty design and comfort for the whole family. Fully electric and loaded with storage, modern tech and more, the Kawasaki Nav won't just wow you, it'll wow the neighbors. Be the first to nav the neighborhood. Visit Ron Ayers Motorsports, north of the airport on Memorial Drive, Greenville.
Greenville Utilities customers should be proud to know that their electric, natural gas, water, and wastewater utilities are owned by the community. That means decisions are made locally, not in some other city or state. It means the utilities are run in the best interest of the community, not to make profits for out-of-state shareholders. It means reliability is high while rates remain low. Greenville Utilities, safely providing reliable utility solutions for the Greenville region since 1905.
Coach Logan's in the zone. And now, so are you. Back into the Logan Zone. Brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles. On 94.3 The Game and Talk 96.3.
Welcome back into the Logan Zone here, week 10 edition of the Logan Zone of the 2025-2026 football season. We're about to get to Coach Logan and Jim Zoki here, but before that, we want to tell you about Bill Clark Homes. Bill Clark Homes has always been there for ECU, and they can continue to support year after year because Bill Clark Homes continues to build quality homes and neighborhoods in both the Greenville area and the Wilmington area. And whether it's Greenville or Wilmington, you can choose your school district with several homes under construction and available now in both markets. Eastern North Carolina's premier home builder, building Bill Clark Homes, building family traditions. Now I'm going to toss it back over to Coach Logan as we welcome in Jim Zoki, the voice of the Pirate football team, as well as a big contributor, gosh, I'm tongue-tied today, on the Panthers radio network as well. Take it away, Coach.
All right, back in the Logan Zone we go. Mr. Zoki, are you with us, sir?
Right here, Coach. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. You've had a week off from Pirate football, but you're back into two-a-days now, I see. You're going to be up in Philadelphia for the Pirate game, and then are you going to go from Philadelphia directly? I believe the Panthers are at Green Bay, true?
Right. So I'm going to go. The airport is 10 minutes away from the stadium in Philadelphia, luckily, so I'll get a plane, actually flying into Madison, Wisconsin, then drive 2 hours to where the team is staying near Green Bay. So it's tight. I'm hoping the government shutdown keeps all my flights open.
Well, let me give you a quick NFL. Have you been to Green Bay to do a game in your NFL work, Zoke?
Yeah, I've been real fortunate. I think we've been there 8 or 9 times now, going back 30 years. But, yeah, I've been there 8 or 9 times now to do games.
Well, then you know that, Green Bay is literally a factory mill town. And when I was with the Buccaneers or the 49ers, we fly around and we stay in these 5-star, it's the best of everything, right? And we would fly into Green Bay, and they would take us to this hotel because there is no hotel in Green Bay. And there's just like one hotel available, that can even come close to servicing an NFL football team. And you talk about a shock. We would go into this hotel, and man, oh man. So I don't know. I guess maybe they've got you're not. Do you stay in the same hotel as the Panthers when you travel?
Yeah, we do. Yes.
Okay. Well, then you kind of know what I'm talking about. It's not the normal what you're used to. Or have they built something better there, or what's this? I'm just kind of curious now.
Well, they built a hotel, a big hotel in Green Bay. So there's maybe 2, but people don't always realize this. But in the NFL, the home team still stays in a hotel. So even though it's the Packers
Sure.
in Green Bay, they get the team together and they claim the hotel. And then they built another one. So there is another one there, but we're not there. I won't give out where we're staying, but we're staying in a surrounding town. So we're not in Green Bay, but we're near Green Bay for this one. But we have stayed one time, the last time we were there, which was 2019, 6 years ago. We stayed at the newer hotel that was there. But you're right. I mean, you feel like you're invading somebody's neighborhood. The only 2 that are like that I think of are that one in Foxborough. I'm sure you've been to Foxborough before. And it's the same thing. Like you have to stay in Providence, Rhode Island, or Boston. They're all like an hour away, and then you drive through people's backyards and neighborhoods to go to the stadium in Foxborough.
I've done it. I know exactly what you're talking about. But that was just a little curiosity curiosity on my part. So, real quickly, Zoke, we have the East Carolina Temple game has been parsed and discussed almost into oblivion. And, I gave a little opening monologue on it just a minute ago, but I'm almost to the point to where looking at the numbers from a coaching standpoint, I'm going to almost be bold and say, you know what, this game literally could be an overtime football game. There is so little breathing difference of statistic to statistic between these two football teams. And I closed my little comment section on if East Carolina thinks that they're going to go up there and if they get sloppy with the football in any way, shape, or form, it's going to cost them a football game. Now, if both teams play to their turnover ratio that they're living with right now, I truly could see an overtime football game. There's just these two teams are just numbers-wise. It's just kind of amazing. You don't see it that way too often from a coaching standpoint. But I'll take that and kick it over to you, and you got it.
I think you're right. I think there's very little, Coach, that separates the abilities of these two teams overall, because I think they're both good on both sides of the ball, and really all three phases, special teams too, offense, defense, and special teams. They're at least above average or good. And, of course, they're just now, Temple's just coming off an overtime game. So you factor in, it was Tulsa, who we didn't have too much trouble with when we played our last game against them. So they did have to go to overtime, but it was on the road. So they did escape with a road victory in doing that. Now we go into Temple, so you got to factor in, as you and I talked last week, about fighting the non-crowd and bringing your own energy to a different kind of road game than what you're used to in a big NFL stadium. I know I talked to the coaches about it this week. It's like they've all coached in environments where it's like small college and there's not many people there, but there's something different about being at a big stadium and no crowd. It's a different feel and look to it than, say, maybe a 15,000 seat stadium with 1,000 people versus a 70,000 seat stadium, which this one is, Lincoln Financial, with maybe 1,000, 2,000 people in it or whatever it is. So you have to fight that as well. I want to get your opinion too. They just had a road game, so they had to travel back and get ready for it. ECU's had 16 days off. Their coach is a great coach, Casey Keeler, said he hates that. He would hate having 16 days off. What were your thoughts about maybe some lethargy or whatever seeping in when you've had too much time off in between games?
Well, interesting question, and I will answer it very quickly. Steve Logan, in 46 years of coaching, head coach, assistant coach, whatever, I hated open dates with a passion, because if we lost the game before the open dates, I had to eat it for 2 weeks. If we won the game before the open date, I felt infuriated that it was going to break the rhythm that we had going, which was a good vibe. We felt good about what we were doing. I'm just telling you, I never really cracked the code. And I talked to all of my peers back. I remember calling Tom Osborne, Joe Paterno. I called Don Nealon, who was always real gracious to me. All of the guys, in my generation that were my kind of, they were 15, 20 years older than me at the time, but I was young. I was 8 years old when I got the job at East Carolina. But I'd pick up the phone all the time and ask. I'd bug these guys to death about those kinds of things. And I got all kinds of different ways to handle it. But I never really felt good. And certainly, in East Carolina's situation right now, they're not going Saturday, skip a Saturday to Saturday. They're going Thursday, skip a Saturday, skip another Saturday, and now they're going to finally play a football. I promise you, some of those knuckleheads I had playing for me, they wouldn't even know which end of the bus to get off of. They have no idea. And me being chief, I wouldn't know which end of the bus to get off of. And I'm just telling you, I would way rather be Temple in this scenario than East Carolina. That's just me talking. So I'll kick it back to you. Now you know how I feel about it.
No, that's why I wanted to ask you. I think it's an interesting point because on one hand, it's a time of year where you have injuries and you're dinged up, so it gives you a chance to heal, gives you a chance to kind of reset with maybe some schematics, look at your personnel, who's maybe been playing better, and maybe give some guys some more reps and take some away from some other guys. So it gives you a chance to work on a couple of different things. But you're right about the rhythm of a football season and having to go on the road. I think it'd be a little bit better if you had the break, but then you were at home as opposed to then having to travel and go to a place like Philadelphia. So I do think that gives a little bit of an advantage in that way to Temple. And still, I think the Pirates, I would say overall, just look at the big picture, 30,000 feet, I think the Pirates are a better football team, as impressive as Temple has been this year. And we talked last week about their quarterback. Last week I said Evan Simon had 16 touchdowns, no interceptions. Now he's got 21 touchdowns and no interceptions. Just one fumble that they have as a team this year. So it's going to be a tough one. It'll be a good win. If the Pirates go in there and get that, that'd be a good victory to get.
Well, I closed my little segment that, this is a crossroads football game for both programs. Whoever wins it is going to be sitting in a spot to where, miracles can happen, and you could find yourself in the upper echelon of the American Athletic Conference come the end of the season. You lose this game, and that's not going to happen. You're going to be struggling and fighting, but every game is the big game. We all hear that too much, but when you're getting into October and certainly November, where we're headed right now, I mean, you better. There's just no room for a hiccup, and I think that's where both these programs are right now. So I want to wish you a good trip to Philadelphia. I don't envy you, to be honest with you, but in the meantime, let's shift gears and get, the Panthers. We're back to the Panthers, and, what I was afraid was going to happen last Sunday happened. I think I used the term, it's time for some big boy football with the Buffalo Bills rolling into town. And, you don't ever denigrate a victory. And the Panthers, found a way to get some victories against some teams that, are not Buffalo Bill, Kansas City Chief caliber. And then lo and behold, it was kind of a curb stomp. And then here we go to the Green Bay Packers, who, again, this is going to be another big boy adventure. Bryce Young is back in the saddle, I have heard. And they're going to have to really pull something special out of the hat to come away, even to make this a competitive game. And I know I'm sounding negative, but that's kind of how I feel.
I think, it would. This might be the toughest game you could have for anybody, is to be at Green Bay right now on the road, because the Packers have figured it out, and they've got Micah Parsons in there now, and he's acclimated into that defense. They've got some guys getting back healthy on the offensive side, like the receiver Christian Watson. They might have the best tight end in football in terms of just overall ability and catching the ball with Tucker Kraft. And to talk about the Panthers part of that, I was on a show a day or two ago with you and most of your audience probably know David Glenn, DG, and I was on with David Glenn. And we said, and we agreed on this, like the Panthers, when they're in their weight class, if you're doing a boxing analogy, have gone like 4-2. But when they stepped out of their weight class, like Buffalo, we now know how good New England is. That loss at New England looks a little bit more like, okay, we see how good the Patriots are. That's where they've struggled. This will be out of the weight class, so this would be a big upset to go to Green Bay and get a victory here. And they happen every week in the NFL. Upsets happen, but you're right. You've got to play about a perfect game. I will say that last year, the Panthers played Kansas City and Philadelphia, the two teams that ended up in the Super Bowl, right down to the wire. And so they are capable of playing to that degree, and it'll take that kind of an effort. And you're right, it looks like Bryce Young, who fully practiced again today, was back at quarterback. Last week really got out of hand for a couple things. One was, turns out Andy Dalton had a broken thumb in that game we found out today. Not only a thumb injury, but a broken thumb. So he played from like the second series on with that. But you don't. That doesn't excuse the fact that
on his throat? Was that on his throwing hand?
Yeah, on his throwing hand.
Holy moly!
It didn't come back. Now he didn't know it was broken in the game. He knew it was injured, but he didn't know it was broken until after they got the game over with. But it doesn't excuse giving up 250 yards rushing. I know they're the best rushing team in the NFL, but you can't give up a number like that and some long touchdown runs, and that's what put them in. So the 3 turnovers and the inability to stop the run game, there was just no winning a game like that without keeping that contained.
So where do the Panthers go now in the backup quarterback room? The Logan Zone truth. This is the truth. You're only as good as your backup quarterback. You heard me talk about that last week. So, I mean, what's going on with the backup quarterback situation at the Panthers now?
So right now, it looks like Bryce will play. Andy Dalton has not been ruled out, even though he's got the thumb injury. We'll see. They activated from the practice squad Mike White, who they brought in last week, who was with Buffalo last year. And he's a younger veteran. He's been around the league. He's been with the Jets and a couple teams, so he's been around. So Mike White would probably be, as far as the healthy options, the next one after Bryce Young, if Andy Dalton can't go.
Well, I wish them and you luck. We've got a couple of minutes, Zoke. Here's the question I have for you. You're intimate with the Carolina Panther, the program and all that stuff. I think their draft position for this coming year is somewhere around the middle of the pack. Is that relatively accurate?
Yeah, well, it'll be based on how they perform the rest of the way. But if you had to kind of look right now, it would be with a 500 record somewhere around the middle of the first round at this point. Yeah.
So where do you go? I mean, Okay, I'm going to give you 3 picks. You got 3 picks, and you're trying to get this football team over the next speed bump. You got 3 picks. Give them to me. What positions? Where are we going?
We need, because he's aging at right tackle, Taylor Moton, who's probably going to play another year. They signed him to a 2-year deal, but he may play one more year. You need another tackle, whether he's your left or right tackle. So you need a stud tackle to go with that offensive line. We need, we went and got some pass rushers this past year. I still would like to have one premier guy. Like, we're doing a lot of platooning and kind of a little bit by committee with a mix of veterans and the young guys. I would love to get, like, a premier edge rusher to help with that team. And then the other thing I think that they really need to look at is just looking at, the big picture is they brought in Trayvon Merrick, and I think he's pretty good, but the other safety position has been a little bit more pedestrian, I guess you would say. We got some young guys that may have ability, but we don't know that yet. I think Merrick is a guy that's great in like a box safety near the line of scrimmage. I think you need that ball-hawking safety, though, that last line of defense kind of a safety, which is not Trayvon Merrick, to be back there. And those will be my 3 kind of biggest pressing needs for this team moving into a draft.
Well, that's interesting. And everything that anybody says to me on this radio show brings up all kinds of scars from too many years of coaching and too many meetings. Because as you spoke, I'm sitting there going, right tackle. Well, that's not very sexy. We need a safety. That's not very sexy. An edge rusher. That's somewhat sexy. I'm just talking about, general managers, the other, I'm going to relate this in a weird way. Athletic directors hiring coaches, they have to win the press conference, even at the expense of hiring the wrong guy. And I know for a fact at Tampa Bay, I'm not going to mention any names, in the 4th round, we took a player, every coach on the staff just got up and walked out of the room because the general manager took a player in the 4th round that we knew couldn't play. We didn't need the kid. We didn't. Everything about the pick was wrong, but the press loved it. And I know the GM knew the press was going to like that call. And you're saying, Logan, you're making that up. Nobody would do that in a multi-billion-dollar industry. I'm telling you, that's at play. So I'm just, I'm sitting there going, okay, a right tackle. The Panther fans are going, what? What, we should
have. This is not a draft pick story. Philip will remember this. I'm not going to say his name either, the player, but Philip will know the story. If he doesn't, I'll text it to him when we get done. The Panthers had a player for a number of years, about 10 years ago, who was on this team, who was the team owner, Jerry Richardson's next-door neighbor's kid growing up. Now, he wasn't a draft pick, undrafted street free agent, but he was on that roster for a couple of years in the NFL and played at a small college. So I'm not going to say the name, but these things do happen at the highest level of football, to your point.
And you could not believe, with all the money and pressure and jobs that are at stake, that anything like that would be near possible, but it is. So anyway, I'm just hoping that the general manager for the Panthers can, toughen up when it comes time, and if it does indeed land at the 3 spots you're talking about, then the edge rusher, I mean, that's a sexy deal that everybody can get behind and understand. But the run-of-the-mill football fan has no idea the ramifications of not having a right tackle. It just destroys your offensive run game without that football player. Destroys it. And that if you don't have a deep safety, good luck, Chuck. Every team in the NFL will know you can throw the ball over your safety, and they will.
Especially when your other safety is better as a kind of a hybrid linebacker, like a tackler, like a star position kind of thing. So I think that's why that's needed there. And in today's football, you got to get pressure. And you see what Micah Parsons has done with that Green Bay defense. Just adding him was such a great deal for them to bring him in. That's the kind of move that might win you a Super Bowl, making a trade like that for Micah Parsons.
Well, that's the other thing that I've had a lot of people ask me, what was the difference in, college coaching and NFL coaching? And they're all the same, and it's totally different. I just know that in the National Football League, as you get deeper and deeper into it, every single position, if you truly have a deficient at left guard, for instance, every team in the NFL knows that, and they will line up every Godzilla in the world on top of that left guard and destroy you and ruin your whole life. They will find the weakest link. It's an amazing dynamic, and it's high-level football, man. So, and I know you've been watching it, and you know what I'm talking about. So, anyway, look, I wish you some safe travels, and don't go out and get in any wild parties out there in Green Bay now, okay?
If there was one, we wouldn't know where to find it, but I appreciate it. Thanks, Steve.
Exactly. I'm not going to worry about you in Green Bay. I was being extremely sarcastic. Thanks for coming in, Joe. Double barrel shotgun right there. East Carolina.
You got it, Coach.
Panthers. All right, man. Thanks for coming in.
Yep.
All right. We got one more little segment to come. I'm going to talk to the North Carolina State football family in the third segment. I will take a call at any given moment in the third segment, starting here in a couple of minutes. 252-561-4263. And y'all get back. We'll talk a little bit about the North Carolina State University football program today. Y'all stay tuned.
Hey folks, this is Coach Steve Logan. My friends at Dogwood State Bank are pirates, and they are changing the landscape of community banking. That term, community banking, is not just a catchy slogan for Dogwood State Bank. They really are redefining what it means to bank local. Big banks may want big business, but Dogwood State Bank wants your business no matter what the size. At Dogwood, your business is big business. Dogwood State Bank has offices in Greenville, Morehead City, Wilmington, Raleigh, Sanford, Fayetteville, and Charlotte.
Member FDIC.
Locals know, visitors discover, and everyone's welcome at Caribsea and Emerald Isle. Stop in for the handcrafted cocktails, stay for the live music and rooftop views at the Torpedo Lounge. Caribsea's menu features fresh seafood, hand-cut steaks, and the famous baked crab cakes locals swear by. Caribsea is the only spot on the island taking reservations with plenty of space for your crew. CaribseaRestaurant.com. For date night, family dinner, or a relaxed evening with friends, it's Caribsea and Emerald Isle.
After selflessly serving in the military to protect our country, our heroes often bear the burden of debilitating neurological damage from traumatic brain injury or post-traumatic stress disorder. Every day, 18 veterans take their own lives. But there is hope. HBOT for Heroes is a nonprofit committed to making groundbreaking hyperbaric oxygen therapy available to veterans. Find out more at hbotforheroes.org. That's hbot4heroes.org. And look for HBOT for Heroes soon in Jacksonville near Camp Lejeune.
Anytime is a great time for Dunkin'. Their menu is full of great tasting items like sandwiches, bagels, donuts, and hot or iced coffee that'll get you going in the morning and keep you running throughout your busy day. Made to order, just the way you like. Save time and order ahead with your Dunkin' Rewards mobile app. With 4 locations in Greenville, Rocky Mount, Nashville, and Wilson, Eastern North Carolina runs on Dunkin'.
There have been many changes in the automotive world. At Phelps Chevrolet, the Phelps boys are here to take care of you. Mike, Daryl, and 4 of Mr. Phelps' grandsons, Wade, West, Allen, and Clay. You see, things at Phelps remain the same. The Phelps team has served Eastern North Carolina for over 50 years. We make your visit easy and fun. We are your neighbors, and that's what neighbors do. Phelps Chevrolet in Greenville. Like Mr. Phelps' great-granddaughter says, come in and get you one.
Your roof has seen its better days. During a really hard rain, you get a leak. Call a roofing contractor, and before they look at it, they say you need a new roof. Well, maybe you do, or maybe it can be repaired and last for a few more years. Whichever the case, Langley Roofing will give you an honest assessment. Whether it's commercial or residential, Langley Contracting will get the job done with their own employees. That's why you get a 25-year warranty. Easy number to remember, 252-214-ROOF. That's 214-ROOF. Langley Contracting, 214-ROOF.
Golden Corral is turning up the heat at dinner with all-you-can-eat wings. Dive into 3 crave-worthy flavors: classic buffalo, sweet chili, and garlic parmesan. Hot and ready, alongside all your buffet favorites. Whether you're savoring the flavors in the dining room or grabbing wings to go, Golden Corral's got your dinner, your football viewing, and your tailgating covered. It's wings, it's game day, and it's all you can eat, only at Golden Corral.
Coach Logan's in the zone. And now, so are you. Back into the Logan Zone. Brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles. On 94.3 The Game and Talk 96.3.
Welcome back into the Logan Zone here as we get set to wrap up hour one. A little short on time here, so now we're going to toss it over to Coach Logan and our first caller of the day, Chris. Take it away, Coach.
Chris, you're in the Logan Zone. Hit me, man. What you got?
What's going on, Coach? I appreciate you taking my call. You know, you bring up NC State, and I know you're getting ready to talk about them and their program. But one of my fondest memories was watching Scott Harley absolutely carve them up in Charlotte. But one of the things I was thinking about that was how high quality of offensive lines you had, starting with Junior Smith, and then Scott Harley, Leonard Henry, and Jamie Wilson. And I feel like the talent pool of offensive linemen is bigger now, but I don't feel like we can get that same quality of offensive linemen. And that's where the game is won. That's how Alabama and all these other schools have been able to do what they do. So I'm just interested to hear your take on that pool of offensive linemen and how, it's changed over the course of the years, and then, how it could, ECU or whoever could potentially get some of those big-time guys. And I'll hang up and listen. Appreciate it.
Okay, Chris, that's really a good, insightful question. And let me throw this at you. One of the things I used to say, talking to coaches, if I get to heaven, I'm marching straight up to God, and I'm going to say, hey, how come you made all these running backs and wide receivers and defensive backs, but you didn't make enough big men to be spread around to all of these schools that want to play the game of football? There's a shortage of, and certainly defensive linemen. This is the creme de la creme, is the defensive line player. If you've got two of them, if you've got one of them, praise the Lord. If you've got two of them, get ready. You're going to win a lot of football games. Now, you're talking about the offensive line. I will only tell you what I'm talking about our coaching staff. Going out and finding a 6'6", 320-pound left tackle for your program that's the pursuit. Well, Georgia got him. So did Alabama. So did LSU. He ain't coming to East Carolina. Period. Okay? We accidentally had one man like that in my entire time at East Carolina. His name was Tom Scott. He was 6'6", 330 pounds, way before 300-pound football players were the norm. And Tom went on and played some football with the Cincinnati Bengals. But the point I'm making is this. It became apparent to me that for our purposes, the way that our offense operated, okay, we were a spread type of offense, one back. And we threw the football a lot. And so it became apparent to me that when I began to have enough data to examine who are the guys that are playing good for Steve Logan in the offensive line at East Carolina, who were the ones that I could get. Here's who they were. They actually turned out to be 6'2", 315 pounds, really good foot athletes. And so that particular offensive line that you're talking about that ran for 300-something yards, and Scott Harley ran for 1,800 yards that year or something crazy like that. Scott was a good running back, but the offensive line that he was running behind, the left tackle was 6'2", 300-something pounds. The left guard, 6'2", 300-something pounds. The center, a kid named Danny Moore from Maiden Grifton, 6'2", 300 pounds. Right guard, Lamont Burns. Can't believe I can remember these names. 6'2", 6'3", 330 pounds. Right tackle, same animal, 6'2", 300. The point I'm making is we admitted who we were, And we began to focus our intent on go find that guy. We were willing to give up the length that you desire to play on both edges of your offensive line. You would like to have a 6'6" left tackle, 6'5" right tackle that have length to block a high-end edge rusher. Okay? Well, we gave up the length and bought foot ability, light on your feet, at 6'2", 300 pounds. You could move, you could stay in front of a good edge rusher, and then it was incumbent upon me as an offensive protection designer to have our running backs chip, tight ends chip, help the edge, those kinds of things. So that's my answer. I don't think those guys are out there. I think you need to evaluate what kind of player you got or what kind of player you can get and then adapt your coaching to it. We're going to take a break. I'll take any phone calls coming up in the next hour, 252-561-4263. Great question. Be right back.
If you haven't been to Shaw's Barbecue in Williamston lately, you don't know what you're missing. Start the day off right with one of their sausage dogs, old-fashioned cheese biscuits, or any combination of breakfast sandwiches you can think of. For lunch or dinner, get crispy fried chicken, fresh seafood, or, of course, barbecue. You can get pulled, chopped, sliced, even G-Man chopped barbecue. What's G-Man chopped barbecue? Head to Shaw's and ask them. Shaw's Barbecue, West Boulevard in Williamston. Open daily except Sunday.
Fall is a great time for broadcast weed control. Let Eastern Turf Maintenance give your lawn the attention it needs and keep winter weeds out of your yard. When the Pirates come out to compete, they want to make sure their field is ready too. Eastern Turf Maintenance maintains the field for ECU, and they can do the same for you and your lawn. Contact Eastern Turf Maintenance today. Go to etmlawncare.com for all the information. That's ETM for Eastern Turf Maintenance, lawncare.com.
When making decisions on your insurance coverages to protect your most valuable assets, First State Insurance Advisors is here to help. When you choose First State, you are working with people you can trust right here in Eastern North Carolina. Clark Stallings and his team provide knowledgeable advice with excellent service. Whether you're protecting your family with life insurance, your home and auto with personal coverage, or your business with reliable commercial insurance, First State Insurance Advisors has you covered. We would be honored to become your trusted choice agency.
Looking for outdoor storage? Maybe a she shed, man cave, tiny home, or greenhouse? If so, East Carolina Outdoor Products is your one-stop shop. East Carolina Outdoor Products has just opened 2 locations in Greenville, on Memorial Drive across from Ron Ayers and on Greenville Boulevard across from AccuLink. East Carolina Outdoor Products also custom builds right in your lot. East Carolina Outdoor Products is the only company in Eastern North Carolina that manufactures, delivers, and sells outdoor storage buildings and their Pirates. 10 locations in Eastern North Carolina.
Hey, this is Gray Fussell, 4th-generation winemaker at Duplin Winery and proud alumnus of ECU. It's that time of year again, time for my latest Duplin radio ad and time for Pirate football. As always, I'd love for you to visit us in Rose Hill, North Myrtle Beach, or Panama City Beach, and to look for our delicious Duplin wines at your favorite store. You can also check us out online at DuplinWinery.com for all of our wines and the best cheesecake in the world. Thank you for your support, and go Pirates!
Medlin Chevrolet is your trusted Ayden dealership. Medlin Chevrolet has made their home in Ayden, serving Pitt, Lenoir, and surrounding areas for 7 years. We're growing. Now under construction is our brand new service facility to serve you even better. Try our service department for your work trucks, fleet, and personal vehicles, and you'll be with us for life. Our staff are courteous, service-minded professionals that answer the phones themselves and walk you through your purchase or service journey. Find the perfect vehicle for your lifestyle today at Medlin Chevrolet, Monday through Saturday, Highway 11, Ayden.
Have you been to Jaggers on Memorial Drive yet? I'm a regular at Jaggers, and let me tell you, if you want fresh, not frozen, you need to come to Jaggers. Burgers, chicken sandwiches, all sorts of salads, and the shoestring fries. Oh, I love those shoestring fries. My favorite is the Berry Fresh Grilled Chicken Salad, one of the best salads I've ever had. My grandkids love the burgers and fries and the chicken tenders with the awesome honey mustard and ranch. Everything is fresh at Jaggers. They don't cut any corners. Jaggers on Memorial Drive in Greenville. Also now open in
This is WRHD, Farmville, Greenville. Powered by the Ritchie Law Firm Injury Lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com. That's ritchielaw.com.
Coach Logan's in the zone. And now, so are you. Back into the Logan Zone. Brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles. On 94.3 The Game and Talk 96.3.
Welcome back into the Logan Zone here. Hour 2 getting kicked off. Second half kickoff underway here. And Bojangles football season is tailgate season. And again, this year, Bojangles is a proud partner of ECU Athletics to celebrate Pirate football. No matter where you are on game day, pick up a Bojangles tailgate box with all the chicken fixins, buttermilk biscuits, and fresh brewed tea hungry fans want. Remember this, Pirate Nation, when you want to step up your game day festivities, it's Bo time. And reminder that the best caller selected by Coach Logan at 252-561-4263 will get an 8-piece tailgate from Bojangles. Speaking of callers, we currently have Tim on the line, so now we're going to toss it back over to Coach Logan and to Tim.
All right. Back in the Logan Zone we are, and Tim, you are in it. Let me have whatever you got.
All right, Coach. Really enjoy your show. Wanted to walk on at ECU in 1995 as a wide receiver, but ended up settling for flag football.
Smart. That was smart.
But my question is...
Fewer concussions.
Yeah, true. And I did win the championship, but I didn't tell my two boys that it was flag football until they got older. But my question is, and I'm very interested in your response, you mentioned the quarterback position and how they must be cerebral, referencing Jeff Blake and his decision-making abilities. Can you give us fans, us armchair quarterbacks, a glimpse into just how challenging the quarterback position is regarding reading coverages, check downs, going through their progressions and such in the heat of battle? Because I know I'll say, well, that wide receiver was wide open. Can you kind of give us an idea of, what it takes to be successful at the college or the pro level? Doesn't matter, but I'll hang up and really appreciate you answering my question, Coach.
Okay, Tim, that is a great question, and I can, I'd love to have a chalkboard. I say that every show, don't I? Philip, at some point we got to get a chalkboard for this thing, but anyway, Tim, let me take you through, this is a Steve Logan presentation, day one, to any quarterback that I've ever had, all right? This is day one, and it wouldn't matter when I walked into the San Francisco 49ers, Colin Kaepernick, Blaine Gabbert, those were the two principal men in my room. And I talked to both of them. I said, okay, let's just take a base football play that everybody runs, all right? And one of my favorite football plays, it's a Bill Walsh West Coast principle that is run by every football team on the planet to this day. And it would be, in the old vernacular, it would have been double right, two jet, 72X shallow cross. That was the name of the play. That was the vernacular that it was used. Okay, but here's the idea. This football play was Jerry Rice, back in the day for the 49ers, running a shallow cross. And then everybody else on the field had these particular routes. And this particular football play, like all West Coast football plays, had a middle field triangle built for the quarterback to work with. So there was a first look, a second look, and a third look. And if you looked at this drawing, if I gave you the drawing, it would create a triangle on the field. In the meantime, that leaves you two other receivers to work with, right? So those two other receivers, one would be running what is called an alert post. Okay? That alert post is exactly what it sounds like. It's a 7-step post route run by the widest receiver to the quarterback's right in this particular instance, and he's running a post route. If the free safety happens to be involved in a blitz, that ball goes there right now. That's the end of the football play, and it happens in less than it happens at about 1.5 seconds from snap to throw. Okay? And that would be a 5-step hit and throw. That means on your 5th step, when it hits, the ball comes out. Okay, so now you've got the idea. You've got 3 receivers developing a middle field triangle. You've got an alert post, okay? And in the meantime, you've got a man-to-man beater for your 5th receiver. He's running some sort of a route that is built to beat man-to-man coverage, all right? So this is a West Coast idea. The idea of a West Coast passing play is to give you, the quarterback, a place to go no matter what the coverage, no matter what the defense does. All right, hold that thought. So to install this football play, we're going to draw up this play, and then I'm going to show you the idea. I want you to go to the shallow cross number 1, to the spot route to number 2, and the wide route by the running back to number 3. That's 1, 2, 3. And there's a triangle. I would draw that triangle on the board. Okay. In the meantime, I would draw the alert post on the board. And in the meantime, I would draw, let's say, an out route for our 5th receiver that could be used if you walked up there and saw straight man-to-man coverage. Hold all of those thoughts. I just gave you one football play. All right. This one football play happened to be a 7-step drop, not a regular 7 steps. A fast 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? But if it's an alert post, it's a 5-step drop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hit and throw. All right? Hold all those thoughts. Now that I've given you the basics of that particular football play, all right? Now we're going to begin to draw up coverages. Well, let's start with cover 1. What is cover 1? Cover 1 is man-free, man-to-man coverage. Everybody's got a man. There's a free safety, and there's a hole player. One of the linebackers is free, and he's simply playing in what we call the low hole. All right? How are we going to read this one football play that we've talked about so far? We've talked about one football play. And this is how we want you to behave if you walk to the line of scrimmage, snap the football, and it happens to be cover 1. And I talk you through all of that, which could take forever. Now, let's draw up cover 2, and we're going to run the same football play, 72X shallow cross. How is this play going to behave against cover 2? Where should your eyes go first if it's cover 2 and the play is 72X shallow cross? Okay, we work our way through that. Let's go to cover 3, which is zone coverage. It looks like man-free, but it behaves as a zone coverage. Well, let's go through 72X shallow cross versus cover 3. Then let's go through cover 4, which is straight quarters coverage. This play will behave differently, and your actions and reactions should be different if you walk to the line of scrimmage with the play 72X shallow cross and it happens to be cover 4. Okay, we work our way through that. What happens if it's cover 6, which is quarter halves coverage? Half the football field is playing cover 2, the other half is playing quarters. We call that cover 6. How does 72X shallow cross behave against cover 6? All right? And on and on. And how about zero coverage? Well, if it's zero coverage, you should hit the alert post. That's how the play should behave. That's how you should behave. And as you can tell, I'm not making this purposefully difficult to be dramatic on the radio. I'm telling you exactly what goes on from quarterback teacher to quarterback player relative to one football play. One drop back pass. One. And the same kind of dynamic as at work for an offensive line coach, you want to just simply run a zone play to the right. Okay, we walk up there, and you got to start somewhere. I used to say this in my meetings all the time. I'm going to present this football play to you, and we have to decide, where does life begin? Where does life begin? Because you got to start somewhere. Okay, well, we're going to run a zone play to the right. Now the offensive line coach is the teacher, and you happen to be the right guard. Well, if it's a 30 front, you're uncovered. and you behave this way and this way and this way relative to the center and the right tackle? What if it's an over front or where we would cover the right guard? And if you're the right guard and I'm the offensive line coach, now we're running the same football play. It's a zone play to the right, but the right guard's covered. How does the right guard behave now relative to the right tackle in the center? Well, now let's put us in an underfront where the backside guard's covered. You're the right guard, the backside guard's uncovered, but you're covered, or you're uncovered now. And so to be, and this is the word that I used, and I got it from Bill Walsh. I had the privilege of going out and visiting with Coach Walsh, and it was a high privilege, and it was private. I was in his office when he was at Stanford. He had retired from the 49ers, and I had bugged him to death to the point that he finally let me come out and visit with him. And he pulled out a game plan. He said, because I was talking to him about this kind of stuff, all these plays, okay? Everybody's got a million football plays. But the West Coast offense was designed to have answers built into the play. All right? And there's I'm going to just throw a spit wad and say there's 7 to 10 classic West Coast offensive pass plays that Walsh made famous. All right? And I said to Coach Walsh, I'm asking him all these questions, and I'll never forget. He said, let me show you something. He reached into one of his files, and he pulled out the 1983 Super Bowl championship game plan. Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, all those guys, right? And he brought this game plan out, and he said, let me show you our drop back section here. And there were probably 40 or 50 pass plays in there. But he had 8 of them circled, 8 plays. He said, Steve, Joe Montana, who had been with him by this time probably 4 years, maybe 3, something like that. You're talking about 3 years every day with the same quarterback and the same system. He said, at the end of this 3 years, when we went to that Super Bowl, Joe Montana was intimate. There's the word. He was intimate with 8 football plays. 8. Well, I was onto this idea. I didn't have it captured that crystal clear until Coach Walsh presented that to me and showed me that game plan. And I left that 2 or 3 days out there with Coach Walsh. I flew home to Greenville saying, you know what, Logan, you're on the right track, because I was doing much the same thing. I had about 4 or 5 football plays for Jeff Blake, Mark Crandall, David Garrard, that I wanted them to be intimate with those football plays. I didn't care when I called the play, first down, second down, third down. I didn't care where I called the play, backed up on the -1, on the +2 yard line going in. I didn't care what the clock said. I didn't care what the weather was. Those young men were intimate with about 5 football plays that at East Carolina, when you walked in the front door until you graduated, we ran those football plays. Now, how do you get away with that? You get away with it by changing the formation over and over and over and over. We would run, again, 72X shallow cross. We would run that football play out of a 2x2 set, a 3x1 set, a 1x3 set, an empty set, a 2-back set, you name it. That was where we spent our time in trying to create a smoke screen for the defense so that my quarterback could drop back and know exactly where those 5 receivers were going to be every time we called the play. I didn't care what kind of formation we called it out of. Those spots on the field were occupied by somebody on our team. And our quarterback could confidently drop back, find the middle field triangle, check for the alert post, check to the man-to-man beater if that was necessary to use, and down the road we go. Your question was, Coach, would you take us through, the teaching the quarterback? I haven't even talked to you yet about being aware of the clock coming out of the huddle. When the huddle breaks, you got to come out of the huddle, and the first thing you do, you snap your eyes to that 25-second clock, and pregame, You walk your quarterback into every football stadium, and you show him where the 25-second clocks are. It used to be 25, maybe 40-second clocks, however they do it. Your quarterback is trained, there's where the clock is, and you do this pregame. When they break the huddle, the quarterback's eyes snap directly to that clock to see how much time he's dealing with. Okay? That's number one. Number two, you get to the line of scrimmage, guess what? The quarterback has to set the protection. He's got to identify the Mike linebacker first, and then set the protection for the offensive line and the running back. And then you've got to get into your snap count. Then you've got to snap the football, and then you get into 72X shot lacrosse. How many steps am I taking? It's a 7-step drop, but it could be a 5-step drop if I have to use the alert post. So now I'm into my routine, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got to read this out, shot lacrosse, spot to wide. Okay? And down the road we go. That's one football play. And by the way, when you walk to the line of scrimmage and you're under center, you looked up and you know what you saw? You saw a middle field safety, and you said to yourself, this is either cover 1 or cover 3. And on the snap of the football, during your drop back, you know what you saw the free safety do? He rotated hard to his left, and they sent the corner, who was in thirds, over the top to the half. They're playing a coverage called 2-cut that I haven't even talked about yet. Okay? They're playing 2-cut. You've got to react to the fact that it went from cover 1 or 3 to cover 2-cut and get into your progression from there. You want to know how long you've got to do that? From snap to the ball out of your hand, if things go well, is 2.5 seconds. Get a stopwatch out and play with it sometime and try to capture 2.5 seconds. From the snap of the football, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, ball out, 2.5 seconds. Okay? If you use the alert post and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hit and throw, you're talking about 1.8, 2.0 seconds. And so after having said all of that, you want to play quarterback in the NFL? And in the meantime, you may carry 40 different pass plays, 50, 60 different pass plays at the NFL level, which I was always against, but that was the machine that I was caught up in Tampa Bay and San Francisco, by the way. They had departed to a large degree from the West Coast offense when I was hired at San Francisco. And it was extremely uncomfortable for me personally. But that's the way it goes. But I'm answering your question in great detail and giving you an idea when, Billy Bob, that's got 3 beers in him on the 45-yard line, all right, and he can't find his car after the game is over, is up there screaming about the quarterback throwing an interception. He doesn't know come here from Sikkim about what just happened. And that's the frustration that coaches have with people that are critiquing the play of the game. And it's great fun for everybody. Everybody football, it's great to go to the game and get frustrated or become overjoyed about any particular football play or the play of the quarterback or whatever the case may be. But when you're in the building, when you're in the room, when you're in the teaching aspect of it, when you're on the grass, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday is game day, I got news for you. Here's what screws up football. All that teaching I just gave you, here's what screws up football. You've got a defensive coordinator on the other side of the ball that's fighting for his life too, and some defensive players, and their sole mission in life is to screw up your one football play, and they're real good at it. Ilk, are you still awake?
Yeah, man. I like this. That was a great question too. I like how you're breaking it down against each coverage, and yeah.
Do you see why I don't coach anymore?
I think this is the fun part of coaching. Hell, Coach, this is what makes football more complicated and more entertaining than any other sport.
Oh, my God. It is. There ain't nothing like football, folks. There is nothing as intricate, as complicated, and as beautiful as the game of football. It is an absolutely beautiful game. There's nothing like it. And I've got several friends in the coaching profession. We all agree football is a bad drug. hard to get away from, man. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll take your questions, 252-561-4263. I still want to try to get to the NC State dilemma. Stay with us.
It's bow time. The Pork Chop Griller is back at Bojangles for a limited time. We know you missed it in all its tender, marinated glory, and how could you not? Because when you take a juicy, mouth-watering pork chop and sandwich it on a flaky, made-from-scratch buttermilk biscuit, it's not a flavor you want to say goodbye to. And don't worry, if it could talk, we're pretty sure it would say, I missed you too. Get to the nearest Bojangles and order yours today. It's bow time.
Capital Subaru of Greenville invites you to fall into savings with a new 2025 Subaru Crosstrek Premium lease for only $249 a month for 36 months. That's just $8 a day. Capital Subaru also has 2025 Outback models with 0.9% APR for 36 months. Whether it's the new Outback, Crosstrek, or any other new Subaru, you'll always enjoy the best sales experience and service. Capital Subaru of Greenville on Memorial Drive, a proud official partner of the ECU Pirates.
At Flatlands Jessup, experience isn't just a number, it's peace of mind. Our commercial lines division brings together over 150 years of combined insurance expertise, guiding Eastern North Carolina businesses like yours. We know your area, we know your challenges, we know your people, and we know how to deliver solutions that last. With Flatlands Jessup, you don't just get an insurance policy, you get a trusted local partner in growing your business. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
Hey, Pirate fans, take a trip, consolidate debt, update your home. Whatever you're planning, a personal loan up to $5,000 can help. Coach Logan here from my friends at National Finance Company. With NFC, you can get cash now. Loans up to $5,000, same-day cash and fixed monthly payments. If you need to borrow money, trust the company that has been helping Carolinians for more than 50 years. National Finance Company. Apply at any of their 24 North Carolina locations or at nfcmoney.com.
Guten Tag, this is meine Auto. Und this is meine key. And I only trust one place with meine key. Meine Key Car Care. They are so transparent with e-inspection, which shows photos of the problem and the fix. Meine Key is my favorite part of America. And my second favorite part? The cowboys and the horses. Remember, I only trust Meine Key with Meine Key, your one-stop shop for total car care.
At participating locations, Meine Key locations are independently owned and operated.
As fall approaches, two things come to mind: football and cooler weather. This is Rachel Davis with Advanced Mechanical Heating and Air. We wanted to thank you for the trust you have put in us this summer. Before you know it, cooler temperatures will arrive, signaling winter is on the way. Don't wait. Prepare now for colder temperatures by scheduling a tune-up. Give us a call today at 252-355-9191 or visit our website, advancedmechnc.com.
If you're concerned about your home security in Wilson and Rocky Mount or any part of Eastern North Carolina, High-Tech Communications has merged with SCI Technologies. This collaboration brings a variety of products and services that do more than keep your home or business safe. They differentiate themselves through their service and commitment to providing you the most reliable and cost-effective system for your individual location. Security systems can be installed for as little as $99. Google SCI Technologies for security, life safety, and home automation. It's SCI Technologies.
Coach Logan's in the zone. And now, so are you. Back into the Logan Zone. Brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles. On 94.3 The Game and Talk 96.3.
Welcome back in. Week 10 of the Logan Zone rolls on here. Remember, we are taking your calls the rest of the show at 252-561-4263. Best caller gets an 8-piece tailgate special from Bojangles. Now we're going to toss it over to Coach Logan and our next caller, who is Mike.
Back in the Logan Zone. Before we get to Mike, real quick, preseason teams that are no longer ranked. Okay, this is the NIL and the new way that college football is being played, which is go buy your football team. Preseason teams no longer ranked. Penn State was number 2. Clemson was number 4. LSU was number 9. Arizona State was 11. Illinois was 12. South Carolina was 13. Florida is 15. SMU was 16. Kansas State was 17. Iowa State was 22, and Boise State was 25. They're all out of the top 25. So for you folks that run out and buy those preseason magazines every year, welcome to the new world. You're wasting your money. Unless you got a good fireplace where you need some kindling. That's enough of that. That's a Steve Logan rant. All right, Mike, you're up. You're in the Logan Zone. What you got, man?
Hey, how you doing, Coach Logan?
Doing great, Mike.
This has nothing to do with football, but I had the pleasure of meeting you about 12 years ago. I think you took your wife to the Blue Man Group concert in Durham, and
I did.
my son and I had the pleasure of sitting beside you.
Well,
remember that?
Well, I do remember going to that show. It was rather incredible.
Yeah, we sat beside you, and it was such a pleasure to be able to, I'm like, son, this is Coach Logan. You don't know who you're talking to. And so it was such a pleasure. You got a huge following out of Beaufort County, North Carolina. I'm from Little Washington. East Carolina, everybody knows Coach Logan. And we miss you.
Well, I appreciate that, Mike, and I've had nothing but great interactions with hundreds and thousands, literally, of people in eastern North Carolina. And,
yes, sir.
Beaufort, North Carolina has become basically my second home, Beaufort and Pine Knoll Shores and all that area down there. And lots and lots of really good people. So I appreciate the call,
Yep.
Mike. And
Yep. We do miss you. Bring it back.
Well, no, that horse that horse left the barn a long time ago, and I'm doing just about what I need to be doing right now. I'm playing with my grandkids and fiddling around here on the radio, and life is good. So,
Yes, sir.
All right.
Good to hear that. And good to talk to you again.
you bet, Mike. I appreciate you calling in. All right, so I've been each week. I start out my morning, and I get a cup of coffee, and I sit on the computer, and I go through all kinds of football-related material, constantly searching for things that could be applicable to this show. And that's a morning routine that I have, and, you got to come up with 2 hours of content. But a couple of things, and this is a little bit, I'm jumping around on some subjects here, but things of interest that I know, well, before I go down that road, I'm sorry, I got a little distracted there. I do want to talk about the North Carolina State deal, and they've got a mess going over at North Carolina State. They've got the winningest head coach in North Carolina State history in Dave Dorn, who's done, by all measure, a really, really, really good job of running that football program. Over the last whatever years, Dave has been there 10 years, and I don't know Coach Dorn. I don't have a dog in the fight. I had one brief interaction with him when I was going into the XFL. My staff came to Raleigh, and we needed a place to meet, and I called over at NC State, and he said, sure, bring your staff in. We'll get you a room and a projector. You name it, you got it. And, very gracious. And but, Coach Dorn is in a tough spot right now. He's the winningest head coach. They're a 4-4 football team right now. They've got Georgia Tech coming to town, and the numbers don't look good. It's a winnable game. Let me qualify this. North Carolina State could win any football game they're in because of the quarterback. This kid's really good. They've got one of the top running backs in the ACC, and a kid named Hollywood Smothers, I think his name is. And, they're capable. Their defense is absolutely horrendous. And when you've got a bad defense, life is just tough. I mean, there's very few ways to overcome. I've said this before, and coaches I've talked to have agreed with me. I can take a bad offensive football player, even a couple of them, in a starting 11, and I can hide them. I can get away with it, particularly at the collegiate level. I can get away with a bad center. I can get away with a bad left guard. I can get away with a tight end that really can't catch, and I can maneuver around that with play calling and play design. You cannot hide a bad defensive football player. If you've got a bad defensive tackle, a guy that just cannot, what you call, hold the point, he gets knocked off the ball every time, that football will be run at him until there is blood on the killing room floor. If you've got a bad corner, the ball will be thrown at him until, again, there's just blood flying everywhere. You can't hide bad defensive players. North Carolina State has a collection of them. They're just not very good. They play very hard. And the scheme is not the fault. I've watched their games. The coaches, Dave Dorn is a defensive coach. The coaches know what they're doing. They're lined up properly. But they just can't make a stop. They just can't make a play. And consequently, you've got a good offense with a bad defense, and guess what your record is? 4-4. And down the road we go. North Carolina State's got, 4 more games left? None of them are they favored in, with the exception of the University of North Carolina at the end of the season, who, by the way, is 2 plays away from being on a 2-game win streak. But bad teams find a way to lose, and North Carolina did that the last 2 weeks, but they were within 2 football plays of winning both football games. But the point I'm making is that, Coach Dorn, they got Georgia Tech coming, and Georgia Tech is an 8-0 football team. Georgia Tech is not dynamic. They're solid, real solid, and really tough, and really fundamental. And they've got a Tim Tebow-type quarterback. I believe his name is Haynes King, and he's Tim Tebow-ish, but he can throw it really well. But what they do, they run the quarterback a lot at Georgia Tech. He's a threat running the football. But having said all that, Dave Dorn was asked in his press conference today about, is he considering retiring? And, he gave the proper answer. He said, I got 4 more years left on my contract here, and I plan on enjoying every day that is allotted to me. Okay, and this is a real mature and something that I used to talk to our coaches about and talk to our players about. Nobody here has a right to be here. I didn't have a right. Let me frame this a little bit better for you. I had a defensive coach come in my office one time when I was the head coach at East Carolina. I had a defensive coordinator opening. This particular defensive coach came into my room and banged his fist on my desk and said, I deserve to be the defensive coordinator here. And I had to really, really, really count to 10 and take a deep breath. And I looked at this man and I said, let me tell you something. I don't deserve to be the head coach here. I earn it minute by minute. So go back down the hallway, go to your office, and earn it. I'll make the decision about who the defense coordinator is going to be here. And so, Dave Dorn's response is that he's going to enjoy every minute that he's the head coach at North Carolina State. He doesn't have a right to be there, and he mentioned it and framed it that way. He said, the pressure that he's under, there's a classic saying called, pressure is a privilege. It is a privilege to be in that situation to where, the pressure's on. You got to perform, whether you're an athlete or you're a professional. And it's not just coaching, it's every profession. If you're, running your small business or medium-sized business, you're under pressure to perform. That's a privilege. And that's an upside-down way of framing it, but it is absolutely accurate. Nobody has the right, and this is where a lot of young people really screw up, and they get fed a bunch of victimhood crap, okay? You don't have a right to anything. You've got a bunch of responsibilities that may lead to the opportunity of having the privilege to be put in a situation where you are under pressure and you have to perform. And Coach Dorn really framed things well in his press conference today. And I was telling a North Carolina State friend of mine, I said, it would be just like Dave Dorn to upset Georgia Tech and be a 5-4 football team. Georgia Tech right now, I think, is number 5 in the country, 8, 7, something like that, in the country, on their way to an ACC championship. It would be just like Dave Dorn to upset these guys. And if he does, then what do you do with Dave Dorn? NC State people. And I mentioned, I was talking about this in the first segment of this show. We got off talking about Cliff Godwin at East Carolina in the baseball world. I'm just cautioning fan bases. When you've got leadership in place that is competitive, it's well thought out, it shows up every Saturday or Sunday and plays hard, but it doesn't. Well, James Franklin at Penn State couldn't win the big one. Now that idea, and they're bringing this down to Dave Dorn too. Never won a conference championship in 10 years. And you can validate all of that if that's the route that you want to go. But I'm just cautioning, particularly in this day and age of NIL money. Okay, and those teams that I just read you a minute ago that were all in the top 25 to begin the season, and these coaches are getting fired right and left, some deservedly so. And, you got to be careful, and you need to give some thought. If you're, Dave Dorn could, with an upset down the stretch here and a victory over the University of North Carolina, he could be a 7-5 football team. You want to throw that out and start over? And if you do, give me some real solid reasons why. And if all you want to hang your hat on is, well, he hadn't won a conference championship. Well, that's applicable to almost everybody in the ACC, for crying out loud. I'll never forget, I had a guy say to me when I was at East Carolina, we expect 8 victories a year. And I about fell out of my chair. I said, if you looked in the back of the press guide at East Carolina in the modern, from 1980 on, the number of 8 win seasons in the back of the record book at East Carolina, the man was on drugs to make a statement like that. Totally devoid of history. Here's something that was taught to me as a young coach. They used to have a thing called press guides. And in the press guide, you could open it up in the back, and it would show you every game that had ever been played by North Carolina State University, for instance. Every game. From 1920 or whenever the heck they put a helmet on, all the way up to the present. And you know what was at the bottom of that press guide on the back of the pages? This was routine, and I did it all the time, and I was taught to do this by a man named John Cooper, the head coach of the University of Tulsa. He said, Steve, go to the press guide, open it up, look in the back, and see what the all-time winning percentage is at the school you're looking at. And that's pretty much what's going to happen to you. I believe North Carolina State University's all-time winning percentage is something like 56%. And that's just about where Dave Dorn is. So you can move those needles from time to time. And, of course, in this day and age, I am on record as saying you can move the needle drastically with NIL money, but there's a catch to that, too. In this new world of NIL, you not only have to buy the player, you got to buy the right player. Does that sound familiar, NFL? You got to buy the right player. And he better be a football playing Jesse, or you wasted your money and you're going to get fired. So there's just some thoughts. The North Carolina State conundrum. Fascinating to me. All right, so we get back. I got some more stuff I can run through here. Give me a call. 252-561-4263. We're going to take a break.
Acres Station Meat Farm is bringing you some big savings. October 28th through November 1st. Prime boneless chuck roast, just $7.99 a pound. Whole boneless pork loins, only $2.49 a pound. Don't forget, freezer combo specials close on November 22nd. For details, call 252-927-3700 and ask for Laura or Steven. They'll be happy to help. That's Acre Station Meat Farm, where Eastern Carolina saves on flavor.
Jeff Stein here at Brown & Wood Buick GMC, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. Right now we have GMC 1500 Elevation 0.9% or $78.50 off. That truck also has $359 lease special. For Buick, we got the all-new Enclave. It's beautiful, it's big, it can handle all of your luggage, kids, towing, anything. Brown & Wood Buick GMC, 4 brands, 3 generations, 2 rooftops, and one goal to make sure you leave a happy customer.
At CCS Equipment Sales, we're proud to be your one-stop certified Takeuchi construction equipment dealer. Our knowledgeable staff is dedicated to building lasting relationships by providing solutions to your needs for new or used equipment, rentals, parts, and service. Our inventory includes Takeuchi excavators, track loaders, wheel loaders, along with a wide range of attachment options. In Ayden, Angier, or Youngsville, or check us out online at ccsequipment.com. And remember, at CCS Equipment, we believe we succeed when you succeed.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Everybody loves Tiebreakers.
So you call your virtual insurance company to ask a simple question about your policy, but now you're on hold listening to this music. While you wait and wait. Auto Owners works with local independent agents who tailor coverage to meet your needs and pick up the phone when you call, because you shouldn't be on hold so long that you memorize the music. That's simple human sense.
Call Weatherly Insurance Agency at 756-9900 or online at weatherlyinsurance.com.
I remember this little girl, hearing her parents fighting, seeing them arguing, feeling every emotion of fear, sadness, even guilt. I remember her because she was me, and she still is. I'm Ashley Nicole Russell, and I know firsthand that divorce can have a lifelong impact on a child. And when attorneys put their own interests first, it only tears families further apart. That's why I grew up to become an attorney who focuses on common ground, peaceful divorce for the whole family. Contact us at michaelandrussell.com and anrlaw.com today.
Hey folks, Steve Logan here. Hot or cold, Wilson Roads Heating and Air Conditioning has been in the keeping you comfortable business since 1961 on Hooker Road in Greenville. Steve Rhodes, second generation, gives each customer a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Wilson Roads is an independent trained comfort specialist dealer specializing in new installations, home replacements, and service agreements on all makes and models. Go online at wilsonroads.com and finance up to 60 months on qualifying equipment. Hot or cold, get the job done right. Wilson Roads, you'll be comfortable in no time.
Coach Logan's in the zone. And now, so are you. Back into the Logan Zone. Brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles. On 94.3 The Game and Talk 96.3.
Welcome back into the Logan Zone final drive here in week 10 of the Logan Zone. Taking your calls for the next 7 or 8 minutes here at 252-561-4263. Don't have anyone on the line right now, so we're going to toss it back over to Coach Logan.
All right. Back in the Logan Zone we go. I've got a tweet. You still call them tweets, Pilk, or do you call them X? I got a tweet here.
It's still a tweet, but it's on X instead of on Twitter. I don't know. It's too damn confusing. Stupid social media.
This is from Chris Matthews. This is a good question. East Carolina versus BYU game and the multiple false start penalties. Is it possible that the BYU staff tipped off the officials about something they saw on film? Secondly, was there ever an occasion that you tipped off officials about something your staff saw on film? Okay, Chris, that's a great question, and here's the answer to it. Before every football game, this is something very few fans know, before every football game, the officiating crew comes to the head coach's office if you're at home. If you're on the road, they come to your locker room and go into a private room with the head coach. At home, invariably, when I was at home, I would have 6 to 8 clips of film ready and waiting for the officiating group when they walked into my office. Normally this was like, I'm guessing, hour and a half, maybe 40 minutes before kickoff. After we'd done our pregame stuff and we're back in the locker room, the officials would come up to my office. They'd walk in and say, "Hey, Coach, what's up? How you doing?" Yeah, here we go. All right, and I would beg them, I'm being facetious here, I would beg them, please don't help get me fired today by some stupid call. But anyway, I would have 6 to 8 snaps of film of the opponent we were getting ready to play, ready for the officials when they walked in my office. And invariably, it was stuff exactly what you're talking about, Chris. I would have clips of film where either I thought the opponent was using, let's say, a chop block over and over and over in their interior that wasn't getting called, but it was obviously coached. I would find clips of film possibly, particularly on kickoff return. If you recall back in the day, it was in my generation where on kickoff return they banned blocking below the waist. I'll never forget going and playing John L. Smith. Louisville came to town. We were playing John L. Smith. He was with Louisville. Great football team, great football coach. They had a little deal on their kickoff return where their kickoff return team was blocking below the waist in a absolutely, without a doubt, illegal fashion. I had that queued up. I showed the officials. I said, "Tell me if that's legal or not." And they said, "That's illegal." And I said, "Well, I expect you to call that. And I want you to look for it." There were clips of film down through the years, it would be of a particular formation where I thought it was illegally presented. Too many people on the line of scrimmage or 5 people in the backfield or whatever the case may be, and point those things out to an official. And indeed, they would at least be looking for it. That's number one. Number two, anytime we had, and this was every time, every football game I coached as a head coach, I had really 2 fake punts, 2 particular onside kicks, 2 fake field goals ready to go at any moment. And if we had indeed run those plays before, which invariably we had, I would show the officials those plays as well, because I didn't want the officials to be surprised by the trickery involved in the play that we were presenting and have a touchdown called back, for instance. So your question is dead on. Yes, you do. You converse with the officials before the game. You point out things that your opponent may be doing that are illegal, or at the very least should be adjudicated and penalized. And then in the meantime, you're also pointing out some things that you do. You might be presenting an unbalanced line, and you want the officials to be aware that you may come out of the huddle and go on the very first sound on a fast break type idea where you come out in an unbalanced set, and you want them to be aware of it so that you don't get penalized unfairly. Or, I've had, in a worst case scenario, you go out there and you run a football play like that without alerting the official, and they stop play or penalize you or whatever the case may be, when in fact everything you had done had been rehearsed, researched to make sure that it is legal, and then you get penalized for it because you didn't alert the officiating crew on your way to the football field. So that's common practice, and it's a good question, and that goes on every football game. In the NFL, the officials come to the locker room. You have those kinds of discussions, and in college football, same thing. So,
Coach,
you got
I want to throw out there at the high school level, these conversations do actually happen when the officials get to the field. Now, they're not the cut-up plays, but when you talk about fake field goals and things getting called back, or another common one is a fake kneel-down at the end of the first half, where you don't want the official to blow the play dead, and the young man's knee never touched the ground. So these happen as low as the highest. Actually happen at the middle school level as well. So this is not an NFL or college thing to hear that coaches talk about. I'm sorry to interrupt, Coach, but I just want our listeners to know this is, if you're watching little Johnny play his 7th grade football game, this conversation's happening as well.
Well, that's good. That's good to know, because it's been 10,000 years since I coached at the junior high or high school level. I do not recall back in 1976, 7, 8, and 9, which is the last time I coached junior high or high school football in Oklahoma. I don't ever recall the officials coming to have those kinds of conversations, but that's good to know that they're doing it now, and they should, because, officiating, officials, first of all, I think they do the best they can. I really do. I do believe, and I think I may be kind of famous for a quote I made once upon a time. When you're East Carolina, for instance, playing at Tennessee, playing at Alabama, the officials know who's supposed to win deep down in their heart. And human nature is undefeated. It just is. And there's been many, many times where a flag has come out and penalized me in situations that in my heart of hearts, I know for an absolute matter of fact, if the situation was reversed, that flag wouldn't have come out. And I just know that, for instance, coaching, let's say, at Colorado University, where Colorado, we would be playing Oklahoma. There wasn't a disparity of judgment. It was pretty fairly called. In the NFL, I never felt like the official threw a flag against the San Francisco 49ers because we were playing the Green Bay Packers. Okay, but I can honestly tell you at the collegiate level, you see it every Saturday. You see it every Saturday. If a real underdog is threatening one of the big boys and the game's tight, late in the game, it's just uncanny how many calls will go against that underdog. The officials know who's supposed to win the game deep down, subliminally. They know. And their reactions, their eyes, their adjudication of what is and isn't a holding call for your team against, the team that's supposed to win. I've seen it too many times, and I'm being gracious as I can, because I might behave the same way if I officiated. I don't know, but I just know that there's some human nature involved in that, and but it is good to know that the officials are trying their hardest. And I'll tell you a quick little war story about officiating. I had one 15-yard penalty for unsportsmanlike conduct called against me personally relative to officiating in all of my years of coaching. That was at Auburn in 1994. I took a young football team down to Auburn, and we were scaring the bejabbers out of those folks. And I won't go into the play that happened, but it was an absolute travesty what happened. It cost us a touchdown, and it cost us the game. And I knew it cost us the game, and it was late in the game, and I went out on the field. I was all the way out to the hash mark, and I confronted an official, and I was extraordinarily vulgar to the man's face. And I got a 15-yard penalty on purpose. And then the game was over, and we went into the locker room, and I explained to my football team. I said, I want you to know why because I had rules about my players getting 15-yard penalties for unsportsmanlike conduct. That was not allowed in my administration. I gathered our football team together. I'll never forget it, in the Auburn visiting locker room, and I said, I want you guys to look at me. What I did out there with about 3 minutes left in the game, when that touchdown was taken away from us, I did it to protect you. I'm not going to allow somebody to abuse you and your effort and disrespect your effort. I did that for you much the same way that a basketball coach routinely will take a technical foul to protect his basketball team and to at least put in the officials' minds, you're going to have to work harder, you're going to have to do better. Now, I did mine in a situation where it was too late to help, but I did it really for theater purposes for my football team so that they would know, there comes a point. And in fact, I used a biblical illustration. Jesus Christ went in the temple and turned all the tables over one day. There comes a point, there is such a thing as righteous anger. And, so the officiating thing, the last story I'll tell you, I had very few confrontations with officials. Very few. Syracuse, in the Dome. Syracuse throws a football, a flag comes out, critical situation. Flag, pass interference against East Carolina. And the official that threw it was on my sideline. And I knew him. A good official, good guy. And I think his first name was Jerry. For some reason I said, Jerry, that was not pass interference. He said, Coach, it was. And I said, I'll tell you what, I'll bet you a Diet Coke you're going to go back and look at this film, and that was not pass interference. He said, you're on. And he ran away, and they adjudicated the play, and down the field it went, and that was the end of that. Every Tuesday in your head coach's office, you get a critique of the officiating. On Tuesday of that next day after Syracuse, you want to know what came to my office? A package. I opened it up. You know what it was? A 16-ounce Diet Coke from Jerry. What do you do?
At least he admitted it, Coach. Hey, it's one thing to make mistakes.
They're good guys. They're good guys, but he did send me a 16-ounce Diet Coke on Tuesday. It didn't help the situation at the time, but there's my war story with officials. All right. We'll see y'all. Are we coming on Thursday or Wednesday next week? What are we
Thursday.
doing?
We're Thursday the rest of the way, unless there's a bowl game on Thursday.
We'll see y'all next Thursday at 5. Love you. Mean it. See you.
I want to take a minute here to tell you about Bill Clark Homes, the football stadium,